You can always count on Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez to provide the stupidest take of the day. She's going after the Supreme Court today in her irrepressibly idiotic style. Okay, so all of these decisions, this, of course, is leading to a new spate of Democratic calls to basically destroy the Supreme Court. Shock of shocks, the irrepressibly stupid Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, congresswoman from Twitch, she is leading the way. She suggested that it's the justices who are destroying the Supreme Court because they won't do what she wants.
Are you also saying that the justices' power should somehow be limited?
I truly do, and this is not a new development in history. This is part of our system of checks and balances. The courts, if they were to proceed without any check on their power, without any balance on their power, then we will start to see an undemocratic and frankly dangerous authoritarian expansion of power. And the Supreme Court has not been receiving the adequate oversight necessary in order to preserve their own legitimacy. And in the process, they themselves have been destroying the legitimacy of the court, which is profoundly dangerous for our entire democracy.
My favorite is when she forgets her lines in the middle of the lines. That's one of my favorites. And she kind of pauses, and then she remembers her lines, and then she continues. Yeah, guys, remember, what's profoundly dangerous to democracy is if you, a business owner, are allowed to actually run your business as you see fit. That's anti-democracy. Also, it's against democracy if you are not discriminated against in college admissions. You must be discriminated against in college admissions, particularly if you're Asian. If you're an Asian person, democracy means that you have to be discriminated against because you're not a black person. Obviously, that's what democracy is. Democracy also means that the president of the United States can, without any check or balance, simply wipe away $500 billion $500 trillion in actual student loan debt. Minimum. That's what democracy means, of course. And my favorite is when Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez also suggests that Clarence Thomas is being insulting. He's being insulting to the brilliant, wonderful Ketanji Brown Jackson. How could he? It's so mean.
I mean, what Justice Clarence Thomas wrote there, I believe, is profoundly disrespectful. I just think it was profoundly disrespectful to his colleague. It includes sweeping assumptions about her worldview, whereas when you look at what the response was from Justice Ketanji Brown, we saw that her dissent was grounded in fact. It was grounded in the facts of the case.
It was not grounded in anything. We read through a lot of that dissent last week. It was so insulting that Clarence Thomas called her out for being completely full of crap. But again, it's all about creating a predicate for avoiding the law. That's really what this is about. Elizabeth Warren is openly calling for avoiding the law. In fact, she's calling for packing the Supreme Court. She put out a tweet saying the Supreme Court has been hijacked by extremists. She is not an extremist. She's a mainstream thinker who also advocated for modern monetary theory, which is the theory that you can spend endless amounts of money without inflation kicking in. So that went amazing. To rebalance this institution, we must expand it. In the meantime, I'll keep fighting back against their damage to make sure we still deliver student debt relief, to protect abortion rights, to defend our freedoms, says Elizabeth Warren. Well, she definitely needs to protect affirmative action since she got into some of her positions apparently as a fake Native American. Speaking of people attempting to avoid the consequences of judicial decisions by simply ignoring the law, entire piece in the New York Times today titled, "With End of Affirmative Action, a Push for a New Tool, Adversity Scores." Oh, goody goodies. They're going to try and find now the workarounds that we talked about last week. These pathetic workarounds where they're like, so how disadvantaged are you? And the person writes on their essay, I'm black. And it's like, well, that's not a disadvantage necessarily. I mean, you actually have to explain why that would make you disadvantaged in some way. I mean, maybe you're Clarence Thomas's kid. You know, like, what are we talking about here? In any case, the New York Times says, for the head of admissions at a medical school, Dr. Mark Henderson is pretty blunt when sizing up the profession. Mostly rich kids get to go to medical school, he said. So first of all, here's my view on medical school. How about mostly kids who score really well on the MCAT and are good at school get to go to medical school? Because those are the ones who actually should be doctors. And I don't really care all that much about their backgrounds as much as I care about whether they're going to kill me. And that, like, when was the last time you asked the disadvantaged background of your pilot on a plane? Or were you just mostly interested that they not crash it into the ground? Our friends over at Genucel sold out of their dark spot corrector. Our listeners have been begging for a restock. Well, good news, it's back just in time for summer. Genucel's famous dark spot corrector has not one, but 3 cutting-edge ingredients and goes to work fast to target sunspots, dark spots, liver spots, even old discoloration, both on your face and your hands. You can now enjoy your summer sun, beach, and barbecues without embarrassing spots. Genucel's most popular package also features their summer essentials, like the best-selling Ultra Retinol Moisturizer with a powerful retinol alternative for safe use in the sun. You'll be amazed at how quickly you'll see results, or 100% of your money back guaranteed. Head on over to Genucel.com/Shapiro right now. Get your dark spot corrector in Genucel's most popular package. That's Genucel.com/Shapiro. Again, when you go to Genucel.com/Shapiro, you save over 70% off their most popular package. All orders will include a mystery luxury gift while supplies last. Genucel.com/Shapiro. Their product is fantastic. My wife has used it. My mom has used it. I've used it myself. Genucel will make you feel better. It'll make you look better. Go check them out right now. Genucel.com/Shapiro. And get that dark spot corrector in the Genucel most popular package. When you use Genucel.com/Shapiro, you save 70% off that most popular package. Let's talk about how you make your home look better. So, one huge thing for me is how natural light flows into my home. Makes a big difference to me. If I'm in a dark place, like if the room is just dingy and dark, there's not enough natural light, it's very depressing. This is why I rely on Blinds.com, and you should too. With Blinds.com, you can make sure you stay cool throughout these hot summer months. We do. Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings with over 40,000 5-star reviews. You can measure and install it yourself or have Blinds.com take care of it with local professionals. There is no showroom, no retail markets. No matter how many you order, installation is just one low cost. If you don't have an eye for design, Blinds.com experts are always available to help choose the style and color that's right for you. Everything they sell is covered by their perfect fit and 100% satisfaction guarantee. With hundreds of styles and colors to choose from, Blinds.com is sure to have the perfect treatment for your windows. Shop Blinds.com's 4th of July sale happening now through July 5th. Save 40% off site-wide plus doorbusters. Get 40% off site-wide right now at Blinds.com. When you check out online, don't forget to tell them you heard about Blinds.com from The Ben Shapiro Show. Rules and restrictions may apply. That's Blinds.com. Go check them out right now. Get 40% off site-wide. In his role at the medical school at the University of California, Davis, Dr. Henderson has tried to change that, developing an unorthodox tool to evaluate applicants, the Socioeconomic Disadvantage Scale, or SED. The scale rates every applicant from 0 to 99, taking into account their life circumstances, such as family income and parental education. Admissions decisions are based on that score, combined with the usual portfolio of grades, test scores, recommendations, essays, and interviews. The Disadvantage Scale has helped turn UC Davis into one of the most diverse medical schools in the country. Well, I mean, here's my real question. How many of those diverse doctors are really, really good at their jobs? Because it seems like I would really, really just want a good doctor, which is sort of the point of avoiding affirmative action, is that when you lower the standards and when you artificially allow people into a particular club that requires merit, then you are lowering the standards. That this actually ends with some pretty bad ramifications. But it turns out that basically all the schools are now telling on themselves. I mean, they're setting themselves all up for lawsuits. So, for example, Berkeley Law School Dean Erwin Chemerinsky, he recently was caught on tape explaining how he avoids the law in the state of California that bars affirmative action.
What I mean by unstated affirmative action is, what if the college or university doesn't tell anybody, doesn't make any public statements, but still wants to? I'll give you an example from our law school, but if ever I'm deposed, I'm going to deny I said this to you. When we do faculty hiring, we're quite conscious that diversity is important to us. And we say diversity is important, it's fine to say that. But I'm very careful when we have a faculty appointments committee meeting. Anytime somebody says, we should really prefer this candidate over this candidate because this person would add diversity, don't say that. You can think it, you can vote it, but our discussions are not privileged, so don't ever articulate that that's what you're doing.
So just lie. In other words, avoid the law. Great. Meanwhile, the Harvard president-elect, Claudine Gay, she basically says the same thing. She says, yeah, we still need diversity. And by diversity, she means ethnic diversity. And we'll keep pursuing ethnic diversity, but we'll pretend that we're not. So Asian students, sorry, you're still not getting in.
The Supreme Court's decision on college and university admissions will change how we pursue the educational benefits of diversity. But our commitment to that work remains steadfast. It's essential to who we are and the mission that we are here to advance. For nearly 9 years, Harvard vigorously defended our admissions process and our belief that we all benefit from learning, living, and working alongside people of different backgrounds and experiences. We will comply with the court's decision, but it does not change our values. We continue to believe deeply that a thriving, diverse intellectual community is essential to academic excellence and critical to shaping the next generation of leaders.
Unless you politically disagree with us. If you politically disagree with us, that's not diversity. that's just you being bad. So we should look, really diverse in terms of like having a bunch of people of different colors, but not too many Asians. And we should all think the same. That is what diversity looks like. So again, the courts are going to be busy in upcoming years. I was talking to a college student yesterday, actually, about the results of the affirmative action cases. What I said is basically, if you're in the Northeast, don't look for lots of change. If you are in an area governed by a conservative circuit court of appeals, then look for policies to change rather radically at a lot of these colleges. But again, the left does not sleep. They'll continue to push forward. The Supreme Court is Donald Trump's biggest accomplishment as president of the United States, without a doubt. The fact that 3 Supreme Court justices were added during Trump's 4 years was a massive victory for constitutional conservatism, and we saw the fruits of that not only in the overturning of Roe versus Wade, but in the death of affirmative action, the upholding of religious freedom, and the death of Joe Biden's garbage student loan bailout. So all of that is good news for those of us who care about balance of power, as well as the actual Constitution as it stands. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show continues right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll get into the mailbag. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro. Check out for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click that link in the description and join us.